Captain Jake Morrison rubbed his temples as the bridge alarm blared for the third time that morning. 6 months had passed since he'd left the Valthari homeworld, thinking his brief encounter with Commander Lyra would fade into just another diplomatic memory. He'd been wrong about many things lately, but none more so than assuming the towering alien warrior would simply forget about him. The communication array crackled to life, displaying the familiar blue-scaled visage that had been haunting his dreams. Lyra's golden eyes held that same intense focus that had unsettled him during their first meeting, when he'd accidentally saved her life during a rebel ambush on her planet. Human Vessel Meridian, this is Commander Lyra of the Valthari fleet. Her voice resonated through the bridge speakers with that distinctive harmonic quality her species possessed. I require immediate audience with Captain Morrison. His crew exchanged glances. Lieutenant Torres, his navigation officer, raised an eyebrow. Sir, that's the 15th time this week she's contacted us. Her fleet has been shadowing us across 3 star systems. Jake sighed deeply. The situation had grown increasingly complicated since word spread through the galaxy about how a lone human had single-handedly extracted a high-ranking Valthari officer from certain death. What the stories failed to mention was that he'd only been in the right place at the right time, and his actions had been purely instinctive. "Put her through," he commanded, straightening his uniform jacket. Lyra's image filled the main screen, her 8-foot frame barely contained within the transmission parameters. The intricate scarification across her shoulders marked her as nobility among her people, while the ceremonial blade at her hip indicated her warrior status. But it was the way she looked directly at him, as if he were the only person in the universe, that made Jake's stomach flutter with unease. "Jake Morrison," she spoke his name like a prayer. "You continue to flee from me." "I'm not fleeing," he protested, ignoring the amused snorts from his bridge crew. "I'm conducting routine patrol missions along the Outer Rim territories." Her head tilted in that distinctly reptilian manner. "These territories happen to be the most dangerous regions of space. Pirates, raiders, and worse things hunt here regularly." "That's exactly why the Federation needs ships like mine out here," Jake replied, trying to maintain his professional composure. Lyra's golden eyes narrowed. "You deliberately choose perilous assignments to avoid my protection." The word protection sent a chill down Jake's spine. Among the Valthari, claiming someone under protection was tantamount to a declaration of ownership. He'd learned this uncomfortable fact from the Federation's xenobiological database during a sleepless night 3 months ago. "Commander, with all due respect, I don't need protection," he said firmly. "That incident on your world was just—" "You threw yourself between me and a plasma grenade," she interrupted, her voice growing deeper with emotion. "You absorbed the blast with your body armor and then carried me to safety while enemy fire rained down around us." Jake winced at the memory. His armor had taken most of the damage, but he'd still spent 2 weeks in the medical bay recovering from burns and concussion. Anyone would have done the same thing. No. Lyra's response was immediate and absolute. No one else would have risked their life for a stranger. No one else would have asked for nothing in return. No one else would have simply walked away afterward. The bridge fell silent except for the steady hum of the ship's engines. Jake could feel his crew's eyes on him, waiting for his response. The truth was, he had walked away because he'd been terrified of the intensity he'd seen in Lyra's gaze, even as she'd lain wounded in his arms. "The Federation protocols clearly state," he began, but she cut him off again. "The Federation protocols do not supersede Valthari law," she declared. "You saved my life. By our customs, you have claim to my service, my loyalty, and my protection for as long as you live. And if I don't want those things?" Lyra's expression softened slightly, revealing something vulnerable beneath her warrior's facade. "Then you would break my heart, but I would still guard you from afar. The debt cannot be undone, Jake Morrison." An urgent beeping from the tactical station interrupted their conversation. Lieutenant Torres's face went pale as she studied her readouts. "Captain, we've got incoming ships. 6 vessels, configuration unknown, moving fast." Jake's blood ran cold as the sensor data populated his command screen. Raider ships, heavily armed and bearing the skull markings of the Crimson Fleet, the most notorious pirate organization in the sector. "They're jamming our communications," Torres reported. "We can't call for backup." The Meridian was a science vessel, lightly armed and designed for exploration rather than combat. Against 6 raider ships, they wouldn't last 10 minutes. "Captain," his tactical officer called out, "they're demanding our surrender. They want our cargo and our crew." Jake's jaw clenched. The Crimson Fleet was known for selling captured crews into slavery. He looked back at Lyra's image on the screen, seeing his own grim realization reflected in her golden eyes. "Lyra," he said quietly, "how far away is your fleet?" Her expression hardened into something predatory. "Close enough." The space around the Meridian suddenly erupted with new contacts as Valthari warships decloaked in perfect formation. The raiders' confident approach faltered as they found themselves surrounded by vessels that outgunned them 3-1. "This is Commander Lyra of the Valthari fleet," her voice boomed across all frequencies. "You threaten that which is under my protection. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The raider captain's panicked response crackled through the comm system. "We didn't know he was under Valthari protection. We're leaving. We're leaving right now." Jake watched in amazement as the 6 raider ships broke formation and fled into hyperspace, their retreat as swift as their approach had been confident. When the immediate danger passed, Jake found himself staring at Lyra's image with new understanding. She hadn't been stalking him out of some alien obsession. She'd been protecting him because, in her culture, his life had become precious to her. "Thank you," he said simply, the words carrying more weight than any formal declaration. Lyra's fierce expression melted into something softer, more hopeful. "Will you finally allow me to do this properly?" Jake looked around his bridge, seeing the faces of his crew members who were alive because of Lyra's intervention. Perhaps it was time to stop running from something he didn't fully understand. "What would doing it properly involve?" he asked. "Dinner," she replied, and for the first time since he'd known her, Lyra smiled. "Just dinner, and a chance to explain why humans are far more remarkable than they realize." Jake Morrison found himself smiling back at the alien warrior who had claimed him. "I think I can manage dinner,"